Hello, hello, hello. This is Carib Carter. Welcome to Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. Today, we're going to take you to Honduras. No, Mike's not there, but he
No.
has a new development there, which opens up the door for us to talk about offshore investments in countries like Honduras. Mike, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, hi Carter. I am definitely not in Honduras. I am in bright and sunny Martinsburg, West Virginia today. I've got I-81 right behind me, so it's got some background noise. And anyway, I'm having some computer issues. There goes the FedEx truck. Anyway, I'm having some computer issues. I got to go to Best Buy in a few minutes and get it figured out. But yeah, I'd love to talk about Honduras.
Proof
Tremendous
positive.
country. In fact, you own a couple homes there, and you've been going to Honduras a long time, man.
Yes, I have. I own two homes and I have a wife from Honduras. So I am
That's
really
right.
into Honduras. There we go. And one of my homes is not too far from your new development. And folks, I want to put all this in context for you folks, because look, this is the Offshore Oracle. So if he's investing in Honduras, you need to think about investing in Honduras. One of my homes is very near your new development, the Reef, right?
Correct.
And that is a beachfront community.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Beautiful beachfront community. Homes starting, in the very low hundreds, $110,000, $120,000. So very, very accessible to pretty much, almost everybody, right?
It's fantastic. I think it's only like 15 minutes from where one of my homes is. I have a home on the beach there, as you know. I think it's about 15 minutes driving and about 20 minutes if I row up or a canoe or something. It's that close.
Right.
And it's absolutely gorgeous white sand beaches. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And $110,000, folks, for a property, I'm telling you, would cost you 10 times as much in the U.S. and would not be in a Mike Cobb community. What kind of community? Is this going to be a Mike Cobb community where there are the amenities, which is one of the great advantages of what you build?
Absolutely. I mean, homes are already under construction. They're working on the clubhouse facilities. I mean, it is a beautiful, again, it's laid out. The whole idea about community is having something laid out so people can hang out with other people. And the most important thing you need to have people are places for people to, live or stay, right? And a lot of people will rent their homes out when they're not there. So it'll be a very vibrant community. But homes are already under construction and laid out in such a way that it really puts people in proximity to one another. So you'll meet the people who are living there and who are staying there, become your friends and neighbors. It's a critically important piece of the puzzle.
Critically important, a sense of community, a sense which we are rapidly losing in the U.S. And you go, Mike, as a quick aside, I'm reading, I don't know whether you've ever read John Carone's Mitford Chronicles, about a little town. I like there are 14 of them. I'm on number 9, and it's small town America. That's what it's all about. They're very Christian oriented. And as you're reading them, I think about places like the Reef, places like Gran, Pacifica you have in Nicaragua, Gran, Baymen, and Belize, where, as you just said, it's a real community where people get to know each other and care about each other. That's huge. That's huge.
I mean, small town America. Look, we've been doing this for 26 years. When we started out, we looked at this urban design methodology called New Urbanism. It's a fancy word for small town America.
That's right? Exactly right.
And it is spectacular. You create neighborhoods. You create places where people, you make sidewalks. I mean, these are simple, easy things, right? But like for many years, from like the 50s through even today, typical suburbia, there are no sidewalks. None.
No.
Right.
No.
So you have to walk in the street, and it's not pedestrian friendly, right? But if you go back to the communities that were established, like Rehoboth, Delaware, right? It started out as a church camp, right? So I think it was Methodist. I can't remember. I think it was a Methodist church camp back in the 1870s, 1880s. Became this beautiful town, but sidewalks and just a place where people walk, very pedestrian friendly. And when you're walking and you walk by somebody's front porch, and they're 15, 20 feet away, you say hello, you say good morning, you say good evening, right? And so when you put people in proximity to one another so they'll speak, right? Community can happen, and community does happen, right? So we've adopted this methodology of development that is really recreating the best of small town America. and small town Canada too. I mean, it's not just the U.S. and small town villages. They call them villages in Europe, right? So it's the village, it's the small town, and when you take the best of that and you integrate it with the best of technology, I mean, you're not talking about sewer systems that were built, 100 years ago. You're talking about a brand new, treatment plant. You're talking about water pressurization systems. You're talking about fiber optic network, right? So you take the best of these villages and small towns that were created 100, 200, 300 years ago, right? You take the best of that and you combine it with the best of technology and you put the two together. It's powerfully awesome. And it's what we do. Yeah,
it's fantastic. And so you have essentially, you are restoring in Central America the whole concept of friends and neighbors.
Correct.
And neighbors. Yeah. My father was a minister, and you mentioned Rehoboth Beach. I don't remember that far back, but my father's a minister before we moved to Baltimore City in two small towns, Williamsport, Maryland, and Hancock, Maryland, both of which you know. And it was exactly as you described it.
Yeah.
Neighbors walk by and wave to you, how you doing? And that's what you're bringing back. It's really the American dream. That's really the American dream.
It is. In fact, here, I'm going to give you a little nostalgia. Right up there is Williamsport. I mean, just up the valley, about 10 miles. Okay. Anyway, I'm in the Shenandoah Valley, so Williamsport, right up there. Yeah.
Williamsport is right over your shoulder, right? I grew up from
my
1955 to 1960. Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go.
But you're right. Small town, and and the nice thing is, and sometimes people think, oh, you're just building, places for North Americans. And that's not true. At our Gran Pacifica community, about a quarter of our homeowners and property owners are Nicaraguan. And I don't know what the percentage is at the reef, but again, I mean, you married a Honduran woman, and I think these are opportunities for people to get together and be a part of a greater community as well. So it's not just this exclusive expat kind of neighborhood, right? It's a very open and welcoming neighborhood for all folks who really want to know their neighbors and want to have friends and enjoy the company of one another.
It is just fantastic. And I'm glad you said that about that, because one of the advantages of what you have done, because I know it's this way in Gran, Baymen, and Belize, Gran Pacifica in Nicaragua, is you do have a mix of the local population, for instance, at the reef, Hondurans, and the expats, the people moving in. So it really is the best of the both worlds. Because remember, folks, these people the natives down there, they have never departed from the hometown life. It's how they live every day. Yeah. Right. And here's one thing I love, folks. Think to yourself now, is there anything uglier and more colder and more unneighborly than American tract housing? Well, you're not getting that at the reef. You're getting a real community. And that's just beautiful.
Yep.
That is just beautiful. And I think, you invested in it, and it obviously is a very how much property total is the reef?
I think it's about 60 acres total. Yeah.
60 acres. Good. Yeah. And I think it seems to me you started on the first phase about 6 months ago, and it sold out overnight.
Yeah. The first phase of tiny homes, but there are some other single family homes that have been going in, and some are already done. So it's actually up already. But the first phase of tiny homes sold out, and they're releasing a second phase of the tiny homes right now. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, folks. And these cozy homes, folks, they are gracious and spacious. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I know you like to call them cozy homes, and that's a much better word for it, actually, because as you know from living down there, and I lived in Nicaragua for 14 years, literally we would wake up in the morning, we would open up all of our sliding glass doors, and we would basically live inside, outside all day, on our patio. And when you live in the tropics, you spend a lot of time outside. So creating outdoor space, covered especially, is critically important. So these cozy homes, while they might only be 300-400 square feet of air-conditioned space, right? And that's all you really want. You just want your air conditioner at night, maybe, right? Just for your bedroom, right? Just air conditioning your bedroom. You got your kitchen, your bathroom, small living area, right? But then you put on another 800 square feet of terraces and patios. So you end up with 1,200 square feet of living space. But here's the beautiful thing. you only pay to build about 400 square feet, right? So it's very economical, and it's again this idea of creating the economy to allow people to buy, and own a $125,000-$150,000 home in the tropics. This is a way to do it. And then when you position things right and you put the sidewalks that go from here to there, not only do you have a home that you can afford, you're going to be in a neighborhood with a whole bunch of other folks that feel the same way you do. And you're going to make friends. I mean, you're going to have great neighbors. Yeah.
And you're outside all the time. It's so funny. My wife keeps saying, because it's obviously it's cold winter here in York, Pennsylvania. Where you are. And she'll keep saying to me, Amor, remember, my wife is Honduran. Amor, porque, why don't I see any of my friends? She's used to living in the tropics where you see your friends all year round. I tell her, Princess, in the winter in America, you're not going to see anybody.
No.
Well, the beauty of what you're saying with the reef and the other Mike Cobb communities, your life is outdoors. Your life is outdoors. It really is. And that is part of the beauty of it. And I want to say that in terms of investment, sometimes people worry about, suppose I invest down there and things don't work out. Things are going to work out down there. Mike, and you know this better than I, because you are the Offshore Oracle. You know investments. China, their investments in Central and South America now, folks, always follow the smart money, right, Mike? Always follow the smart money. China's investments in Central and South America now are astronomical. Their Belt and Road Initiative, okay? They just started it in Central America, Central and South America in 2017, Mike. And within 2 years, 18 countries had signed on. This is major investments, folks. Energy, manufacturing, everything you can imagine. Now it's up to 33 of the countries 2 years later.
Yeah.
So it's smart investment.
Yeah. And I've written several articles. In fact, if people want to reach out, easy. info@ecidevelopment.com. If somebody just sends me an email and asks for my article, Perception versus Reality, right? Yeah. And it really is an article about risk and the perception of risk and reality. I mean, I always give this example, flying, I can't remember, flying's like 1,000 times safer than driving. I mean, it's just like, there's no comparison between flying and driving in terms of safety, right? Yet it amazes me that people will drive on the way to the airport, texting with one hand, driving with the other, looking at their phone, doing this, right? The whole way to the airport, never feel fear at all, right? Get on the airplane and do, white knuckle on the seat, right? It has nothing to do with reality. Like driving and texting, I don't know how times more dangerous that is, obviously, right? But flying on the airplane, but perception and reality. And so what this article really does is it talks about the psychology between perception and reality, and how people, if they can get past the perception of fear, right? It's real. I'm saying people are white knuckling it on the airplane. They're afraid. I understand that, right? But if you can get past the perception of fear and perception of risk and actually look at hard data, right? Look at the numbers. Like all of a sudden, a lot of things pop into awareness and into reality that make a lot of economic sense. And the Chinese couldn't care less about all of the nonsense, about the, civil wars 40 years ago. Like, who cares? That was 40 years ago, right? I mean, like, what they care about is what's happening right now. What do the numbers say? And they're investing money. By the way, it's not just the Chinese. I mean, lots of U.S. investors, sophisticated U.S. investors, big money investors, right? The guys that could care less about perception. Like, what do the numbers say? What is that reality? They are investing money all over Central America as well. It's just the poor, the poor person who's been watching the news for the last 40 years and just, bleed crap, right? That's been on and on and on and filled their head with this fear, right? They're missing this incredible opportunity to be a part of what is absolutely happening right now all over Central America, certainly in Honduras too. So reach out, get a copy of this article, and hopefully, it starts to break some awareness. Like there's reality is very different than this perception that we have from being fed the news media, fear mongering for the last 40 years, right?
Constant. Last time Last time Honduras had a war, and I think it was the first one in 100 years, they had a 2-week war with El Salvador over a soccer game.
That's correct.
They both at one point said, wait a minute, what are we fighting? So, folks, it is in 2 weeks. I don't think anybody died, right? So, folks, I'm glad you said it. Don't get fooled by the perception. The reality, if I right now, I'm just going to say it. Obviously, I've lived it. I had money to put in either the stock market or property in Honduras. I put it in property in Honduras. You've put money in property on. Folks, it's a good deal. It's a good idea. Here's what I would do. Here's what I'm recommending. Buy a home at the Reef and go down there and use that as your headquarters for other investment decisions.
Right.
It's the best of both worlds.
Right. And if you can work remotely, work from the beach. I mean, wow. Yeah.
You got it. Mike, thank you. This has been great.
You,
I know you've got to finish your shopping. They're there on the mall parking lots. So,
I got to get my computer fixed. So I'm hoping the guys at Get Pie right over here are going to do a great job for me. So
thank you very much. This has been great. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Great discussion. Seriously. Check Honduras out for investment. Right now, it's a buyer's market. It is a buyer's market right now, but that's not going to last. So, as I always tell you, let's do this thing.